High Commander Zexlar stood on the bridge of the Imperial scout ship Destiny's Wing *, his four eyes fixed on the holographic display of the solar system before him. The blue-green planet third from the sun drew his attention. His upper lip curled in what passed for a smile among his species. "Another primitive world," he said to his crew. "How many does this make this cycle?" "This is the 12th system we've scouted this cycle, Commander," replied his second-in-command, Officer Valter. She adjusted her uniform, a habit she had when delivering reports. "But there's something different about this one." Zexlar turned all four eyes toward her. In 15 cycles of scouting for the Empire, Valter had never used the word different before. She was known for her precise reports. "Explain," he ordered. Valter brought up a detailed scan of Earth's orbit. "The species calls themselves humans. They haven't achieved faster-than-light travel yet. But look at this." She zoomed in, showing thousands of artificial objects orbiting the planet. They've launched over 5,000 satellites. They maintain multiple space stations. They've left their marks on their moon and even their neighboring planet. Zexlar studied the data with growing interest. Most primitive species barely managed to launch a few satellites before the Empire found them. These humans had created a complex network of communications, weather monitoring, and even primitive defense systems. "Show me their military capabilities," he commanded. The holographic display shifted, showing military bases across the planet. Nuclear weapons, aircraft carriers, submarines, tanks, fighter jets. The humans had developed an impressive array of weapons, even if they were centuries behind Imperial technology. "Fascinating," Zexlar muttered. "They spend so much time fighting each other, yet they've managed to maintain a presence in space. Run a deeper scan of their information networks." The ship's AI compiled data from Earth's internet, displaying a summary that made Zexlar's antennae twitch in amusement. These humans had been imagining and preparing for alien contact for centuries. They had countless stories about invasion, first contact, and interstellar war. "They're paranoid," he said with a laugh. "Look at all these invasion scenarios they've created. They actually think they could resist an advanced civilization." Valter wasn't laughing. "Sir, their level of preparation is unusual. Most species we encounter haven't even considered the possibility of alien life, let alone prepared for it." Zexlar waved her concern away with one of his secondary arms. "Preparation without proper technology is meaningless. Their most advanced weapons would barely scratch our shields. Send the standard ultimatum." "The standard one-rotation warning, sir." "Yes. Let them have their day to consider surrender. It's more than generous." He turned back to study. The United Nations Security Council chamber was silent as the alien message played one more time on the large screen. "People of Earth, your planet has been chosen to join the Galactic Empire. Submit to Imperial rule within one rotation of your star, or face extinction. There will be no negotiations." General Sarah Chen of the United States Space Force stood up first. "The message has been confirmed in all major languages. They're giving us 24 hours to surrender." "They're not giving us much choice, are they?" said the Russian representative, his face grim. "Submit or die. The classic conqueror's ultimatum." The British representative leaned forward. "But they've made a crucial mistake. They've given us time to prepare, and more importantly," she smiled slightly, "they've given us a warning." The chamber erupted in murmurs of agreement. Humanity had spent centuries imagining this scenario. Every military on Earth had plans for alien invasion. Every science fiction writer had explored possible strategies. Every war game had considered this ultimate enemy. "What are our current capabilities?" asked the Chinese representative, pulling up data on his tablet. General Chen's response was quick. "Global satellite networks have tracked their scout ship. We've detected energy signatures suggesting a larger fleet hiding behind Jupiter. Their technology is advanced, but not undetectable. And," she paused for effect, "we've been monitoring their communications. Their encryption is complex, but not unbreakable. The Indian representative raised an eyebrow. "They're underestimating us." "Significantly," agreed General Chen. "They're calling us primitive because we don't have faster-than-light travel. But they've missed something crucial. Humanity has been preparing for this moment since we first looked up at the stars." The Secretary General stood up, commanding attention. "We need to vote on our response. But before we do, I want to remind everyone of something. In our history, every time a technologically superior force has encountered what they considered a primitive civilization, they assumed victory was certain. And sometimes they were wrong." The chamber grew quiet as screens lit up with historical images. Vietnamese farmers defeating modern armies, Afghan tribesmen resisting superpowers, indigenous peoples adapting and surviving against overwhelming odds. "We may be technologically behind," the Secretary General continued, "but we have something they don't expect. Experience as the underdog. And now we have something else. Unity in the face of a common threat." The vote was unanimous. Earth would not surrender. In orbit, Officer Valter watched her scanner as a transmission was broadcast from Earth. Her antennae twitched in surprise as she read it. "Commander," she called to Zexalar, "we're receiving their response." Zexalar didn't even look up from his reports. "Good. Begin processing their surrender." "Sir, they haven't surrendered." Now he looked up, all four eyes focusing on her. "What?" Valter read the message. "To the Galactic Empire, we, the United Nations of Earth, have received your ultimatum. We respectfully decline. Leave our solar system. This is your only warning." Zexalar burst out laughing. "Their only warning? To us?" He shook his head in amusement. "Send word to the invasion fleet. We'll begin the attack at the deadline." But Valter noticed something that her commander missed. Within moments of Earth's response, thousands of smaller satellites had changed position. Military installations across the planet had gone dark. And most worryingly, their scanners had lost track of Earth's submarines, vessels carrying enough nuclear weapons to destroy a planet. The humans weren't surrendering. They were preparing for war. And they had warned the Empire only once. Dr. Sarah Wong stared at her computer screen in amazement. Just 20 hours ago, she had been working on experimental quantum computing at MIT. Now she was part of the largest scientific collaboration in human history. "The data from their communications is fascinating," she said to her colleague, Dr. Patel, who was connected via video call from India. "Their technology isn't magic. It follows rules we can understand." Across the globe, thousands of scientists were doing the same thing. The world's most secure research facilities had opened their doors to international cooperation. Chinese quantum physicists worked with American weapons developers. Russian submarine experts shared data with British cybersecurity specialists. Iranian nuclear scientists collaborated with Israeli engineers. In orbit, hundreds of seemingly innocent satellites revealed their true nature. Weather monitoring equipment transformed into advanced scanning arrays. Communications satellites unveiled hidden military capabilities. A new kind of space warfare was about to begin. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, Captain John Martinez guided his nuclear submarine into position. His vessel was just one of dozens of submarines from various nations, all coordinating their movements in absolute silence. Together, they formed an invisible net around the planet. "Weapon systems check complete, sir," his XO reported. "All missiles reconfigured according to the new protocols." Martinez nodded. The modifications they'd made to their nuclear weapons were theoretical, based on their analysis of the alien shields. But if they worked, above the atmosphere, Colonel Lai Wei of the Chinese Space Force monitored the deployment of what the media was calling the swarm. Thousands of small, autonomous drones, each barely larger than a basketball, moved into precise formations. Individually, they were harmless. Together, they could form electromagnetic webs capable of disrupting alien shield frequencies. Phase 1 deployment complete, she reported to the Global Defense Council. "Second wave ready on your command." In laboratories and workshops around the world, civilians joined the effort. Internet forums buzzed with ideas. Engineering students tested theories about alien technology. Hackers probed for weaknesses in Imperial communications. Gamers ran combat simulations, looking for strategies that could work against superior technology. At NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, Dr. James Chen led a team analyzing the Empire's energy signatures. "Look at this pattern," he said, pointing to his screen. "Their shields operate on a frequency we can detect, and if we can detect it, we can disrupt it," finished his colleague, Dr. Maria Rodriguez. "But we'll only get one chance. Once they realize we can do this, they'll adapt," Chen nodded. "But so will we." In the Situation Room of the White House, military leaders from around the world gathered virtually to finalize their strategy. General Chen, now leading the Combined Earth Defense Force, addressed the group. "The Empire expects us to either surrender or fight conventionally," she said. "They don't realize that humanity has spent centuries preparing for this through science fiction, war games, and actual combat experience. We've imagined this scenario thousands of times. Now, we make those preparations count." On screens around the room, Earth's defenses were displayed. Submarines hidden in the depths, satellites ready to reveal their true purpose, drones prepared to swarm, nuclear weapons modified to penetrate alien shields, and most importantly, millions of humans ready to fight in ways the Empire had never imagined. "They gave us 24 hours, expecting us to cower in fear," General Chen continued. "Instead, we've used that time to prepare the largest coordinated military operation in human history. The Empire thinks they're facing a primitive species." She smiled grimly. "Let's show them how primitive we can be." As the deadline approached, humanity waited in tense readiness. The Empire was about to learn a harsh lesson. Never give humans time to prepare. Commander Zexlar watched with satisfaction as his invasion fleet emerged from behind Jupiter. 500 warships, each capable of destroying a small city, moved into attack formation. The humans' deadline had passed, and they had not surrendered. "Begin the standard invasion protocol," he ordered. "Take out their primitive satellites first, then their military installations. They'll surrender once they see our true power." Officer Valter monitored the fleet's advance. Something bothered her about the human satellites. They seemed too orderly. "Sir, I'm detecting unusual energy readings from—" She never finished her sentence. The moment the first Imperial ships came within range, Earth's satellites revealed their true nature. Thousands of them suddenly changed position, creating a web of electromagnetic energy that caught the front line of the invasion fleet. "Impossible," Zexlar shouted as the reports came in. The supposedly primitive satellites were generating interference that disrupted their ship's shield frequencies. Before the Empire could adjust, humanity launched its first real attack. From the depths of Earth's oceans, submarines surfaced just long enough to launch their modified nuclear missiles. The warheads, enhanced with data from studying Imperial shield frequencies, bypassed the weakened defenses of several ships. 3 destroyers lost, Valter reported, her voice shaking. "How did they? Their weapons shouldn't be able to." The Empire's formation broke as ships tried to avoid the satellite web. That's when the swarm attacked. Thousands of small drones, each carrying electromagnetic pulse generators, surrounded individual ships. Alone, each drone was harmless. Together, they created localized disruptions that shut down ship after ship. "Launch fighters," Zexlar commanded. "Clear these primitive machines from space." Imperial fighters poured from the larger ships, but they faced an unexpected challenge. Earth's atmosphere was filled with confusion. Every radio frequency was jammed with conflicting signals. Their targeting systems couldn't distinguish real threats from false ones. On Earth, General Chen watched the battle unfold from the Combined Military Command Center. "Phase 1 successful," she announced. "Their shields are compromised. Begin Phase 2. Around the world, hidden anti-satellite weapons revealed themselves, but instead of targeting satellites, They fired at the now vulnerable Imperial ships. Kinetic energy weapons, essentially sophisticated rails firing tungsten rods at incredible speeds, proved devastating against ships with weakened shields. "This is impossible," Zexlar muttered as another destroyer went dark. "They're primitive. They shouldn't be able to." "Sir," Valter's voice was urgent, new contacts appearing from behind Earth's moon. A small fleet of Earth's own spacecraft, hidden on the dark side of the moon, moved to attack. They were primitive compared to Imperial ships, but they had been modified with stolen Imperial technology. More importantly, they were piloted by humans who had spent their entire careers preparing for space combat. The battle lasted 3 hours. When it ended, the Empire had lost 37 ships. Dozens more were disabled, their crews forced to abandon ship. The rest of the fleet retreated to regroup behind Mars. In the command center, General Chen addressed the world's leaders. "The first wave has been repelled, but this isn't over. The Empire will be back, and they'll be angry. But we've proven something today. They can be hurt. They can be beaten." On the Imperial flagship, now retreating with the rest of the fleet, Commander Zexlar faced an uncomfortable reality. These humans weren't primitive at all. They were something far more dangerous. They were innovative, adaptable, and had been preparing for this fight their entire lives. And they had only just begun to show what they could do. Supreme Admiral Krylax arrived at the Mars staging area with reinforcements, his massive dreadnought making Commander Zexlar's flagship look tiny in comparison. The Empire's response to their first defeat was predictable. "Bring bigger ships." "You lost 37 ships to primitives." Krylax's voice dripped with disgust as he reviewed the battle footage. "Explain yourself, Commander." Before Zexlar could respond, proximity alarms blared. A small fleet of captured Imperial shuttles appeared, seemingly from nowhere, launched hit-and-run attacks, and vanished again. They were using Imperial technology against its makers. "See," Zexlar pointed at the screens. "They adapt. They learn. They steal," Krylax interrupted. "And we will teach them the price of theft." Begin the second wave. Full planetary bombardment. The reinforced Imperial fleet moved forward confidently, their shields modified to resist the humans' previous tactics. But humanity had not been idle. Dr. Wong's team had cracked more of the Imperial code. "Their ships communicate on quantum frequencies," she explained to the Defense Council, "but they're not encrypting all channels. They never expected a primitive species to access quantum communications." Around Earth, a new kind of warfare unfolded. Instead of direct confrontation, humans employed chaos theory strategies. Small, stealthy ships would appear from hidden spots in the asteroid belt, strike at supply lines, and disappear. Space stations revealed themselves to be weapon platforms, firing once before going dark and changing position. The Empire's rigid military doctrine proved to be their weakness. When their ships lost quantum communication, they fell back on standard protocols that humans had already studied and learned to counter. Another supply convoy lost. Officer Valter reported to her increasingly frustrated commanders. "Their tactics make no sense. There's no pattern, no formation." "No, that's their pattern," Lieutenant James Chen said from the corner of the command center, where he sat as a prisoner of war from a captured Imperial vessel. "We call it guerrilla warfare. You're fighting ghosts who know your playbook better than you do." In Earth orbit, Colonel Lai Wei coordinated another asymmetric attack. Her swarm drones had been modified again, this time carrying microscopic machines that could eat through Imperial hull metal. "Remember," she told her pilots, "we don't need to destroy their ships. We just need to make repairs more expensive than conquest." The Empire's massive dreadnought launched waves of fighters, but Earth's atmosphere had become a maze of electromagnetic traps. Ground-based lasers, hidden in what looked like civilian telescopes, picked off fighters one by one. "Impossible," Krylax raged as another fighter squadron went dark. "They're learning too fast. They're using our own technology against us." "No, sir," Lieutenant Chen said quietly, almost pitying. "We're using our technology with your technology. Hybrid warfare, the best of both worlds." The Empire's second wave lasted longer than the first, but cost them even more. Their bigger ships proved to be bigger targets. Their enhanced shields couldn't protect against attacks they never saw coming. Their superior numbers meant nothing against an enemy that refused to fight conventionally. In the war room, General Chen watched the Empire's frustration grow. "They still don't understand," she told her staff. "They think technology alone wins wars. But humanity's greatest weapon has always been our ability to adapt, to think differently, to turn our enemy's strength against them." As the second wave retreated, leaving behind more damaged and captured ships, the Empire faced an uncomfortable truth. They weren't just fighting humans. They were fighting centuries of human military experience, countless war games, and every scenario humanity had ever imagined. And humanity was just getting started. In the Grand Council chamber of the Imperial flagship, Supreme Admiral Krylax faced a crisis unlike any in Imperial history. The holographic images of the Empire's highest commanders flickered as they discussed the unthinkable, the possibility of defeat. 3 weeks of battle. First Speaker Daxlon's massive hologram boomed. Over 200 ships lost, to primitives. The last word came out as a snarl. Krylax straightened his uniform. "These humans, they're unlike any species we've encountered. They adapt faster than we can respond. They've already reverse-engineered much of our technology." On the main screen, footage played of the latest human victories. Imperial supply ships ambushed by small, agile craft that seemed to appear from nowhere. Captured Imperial weapons being used against their former owners. Even the asteroid belt had become a death trap, with human bases hidden inside hollow rocks. "Look at this," Officer Valter said, displaying new data. "They're not just copying our technology. They're improving it, making it work with their own systems in ways we never considered." The Council watched as a captured Imperial fighter, modified with human stealth technology, slipped past their best sensors undetected. Another clip showed human submarines launching missiles that combined Imperial energy weapons with nuclear warheads, a combination that bypassed their strongest shields. "We have 2 choices," Krylax announced. "We can commit our entire fleet, every ship in this sector, to subduing this one world. Or we can retreat." Commander Zexlar finished quietly. "Admit defeat for the first time in Imperial history." The chamber erupted in angry shouts. Retreat was unthinkable. The Empire had never failed to conquer a target world. Their reputation would be ruined. "You don't understand," Valter interrupted, her voice cutting through the chaos. "The humans are transmitting everything. Every battle. Every victory. The entire galaxy is watching us fail." On Earth, the Defense Council was monitoring the Imperial transmission. Dr. Wang's team had long since broken their encryption, and the translation was clear. "They're going to make one final push," General Chen announced to the world's leaders. "They'll throw everything they have at us." But humanity wasn't worried. During the weeks of battle, Earth's scientists had made breakthrough after breakthrough. Factories worldwide had retooled to produce hybrid weapons combining human ingenuity with Imperial technology. The asteroid belt was now a fully armed human territory, riddled with hidden bases and weapon platforms. Most importantly, humans had learned to think in new ways about space warfare. Old sci-fi movies had imagined space battles like naval warfare, ships firing at ships. The reality had proved far different, and humanity had adapted faster than the Empire could believe. "Let them come," Colonel Lai Wei said, watching her swarm drones practice new attack patterns. "We're ready." In orbit, Captain Martinez coordinated with the growing space fleet from his new command, a captured Imperial destroyer modified with human improvements. "All ships report ready," he announced. "Defense grid is at full power." The Imperial Council's debate raged for hours before reaching its inevitable conclusion. The Empire's pride would not allow retreat. They would commit their entire fleet to crushing this one defiant world. "Send the message," First Speaker Daxalon commanded. "Every ship, every weapon, everything we have. These humans must learn their place." On Earth, General Chen received the news with a grim smile. The Empire had chosen pride over wisdom. They still hadn't learned the lesson that humans had been teaching them from the start. Never underestimate a species that had spent its entire history preparing for this moment. The largest fleet in Imperial history filled the space between Mars and Earth. Over 3,000 warships prepared for the final assault. Their massive shapes blocked out the stars, their weapons charged and ready to reduce Earth to ashes. "Surrender now," Supreme Admiral Krylax's message boomed across all frequencies, "and we will show mercy." In response, Earth broadcast a simple message: "We warned you once. That was your chance." The battle began with a surprise, but not from the Empire. The asteroid belt suddenly came alive. Hundreds of rocks split open, revealing hidden human bases and weapon platforms. The Empire's rear guard found itself under attack before the main assault could begin. "Impossible," Krylax shouted as reports flooded in. "They've militarized the entire asteroid belt." But that was just the beginning. Earth's moon, which had seemed quiet for weeks, revealed its new nature. The humans had turned their only natural satellite into a fortress, using Imperial technology, combined with human innovation, to create weapons never seen before. Dr. Wang's voice came over the command channel. "Quantum disruptors ready. Beginning Phase 1. Across Earth's orbit, thousands of satellites activated new programming. Instead of attacking Imperial ships directly, they created a quantum field that cut off the Empire's faster-than-light communications. Their mighty fleet, for the first time, was deaf and blind. "Launch the swarm," General Chen ordered. Colonel Lei Wei's drone swarms deployed, but they weren't attacking. Instead, they created a three-dimensional maze of electromagnetic fields, turning space itself into a trap. Imperial ships found their sensors confused, their navigation systems compromised. From the depths of Earth's oceans, submarines launched their final weapons, not just missiles, but something new. Dr. Chen's team had created hybrid warheads that combine nuclear power with Imperial energy technology. The Empire's shields, designed to stop one or the other, couldn't stop both. "All ships, execute attack pattern humanity." Captain Martinez commanded the Earth fleet. Ships that had once been Imperial vessels, now modified and improved by human engineers, moved in seemingly random patterns that made perfect sense to their human crews. The Empire's mighty fleet found itself fighting an enemy that refused to behave like any enemy should. Human ships appeared and disappeared, striking from impossible angles. Weapons that shouldn't exist bypassed their strongest defenses. Every Imperial tactic was met with a countermove that seemed to defy logic. On his flagship, now taking heavy damage, Krylax watched his mighty fleet being torn apart by what he had called primitives. "How?" he demanded. "How can they be beating us?" Officer Valter, who had warned them from the start, finally understood. Because they spent centuries imagining this fight. Every book, every movie, every war game, they were preparing. Not their weapons, but their minds. The battle lasted 12 hours. When it ended, the mighty Imperial fleet was in ruins. Hundreds of ships destroyed, hundreds more captured. The remainder fled, not even waiting for orders. In Earth's command center, General Chen received the final reports. Humanity had suffered losses, but they had won. Not just a battle, but their place among the stars. "Send the final message," she ordered. Across all frequencies in every language the Empire used, Earth broadcast. "We warned you once. Remember that warning. Earth is not to be threatened again." As the Empire's surviving ships fled the solar system, humanity began planning its next steps. They had the Empire's technology now, improved by human innovation. They had proved themselves stronger than anyone had imagined. The galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage. not as conquerors or victims, but as equals who had earned their place among the stars. And they had only needed to warn once.